This is PBS Reno Arts. I am Dave Santina, and I am sitting across the table from Michelle Aguilar-Ficara, who's the documentary filmmaker who recently had a film that was broadcast on PBS Reno. If you hadn't seen it, it's called Momentum, and it is available on the PBS app. So if you haven't watched it, I suggest you do. It's really interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but also we're going to talk about a brand new film festival that you are launching, the Lake Tahoe Documentary Film Festival. So welcome and thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You got it. So as I mentioned, Momentum is available on the PBS app.
Yep.
I actually watched through it again yesterday.
Thank you.
It's a really interesting story, fascinating, about two people who've dealt with a lot in life and are moving forward and dealing with incredibly difficult challenges. And I found them fascinating to watch, and I really enjoyed what you did. So could you just for the people who haven't had a chance to watch it yet, give me a background to that?
Yeah, background on Momentum. Gosh, it started about 5 years ago at this point, which is crazy to think about. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, working for a documentary production company there. And I'm originally from South Lake Tahoe. I knew I wanted to come back eventually.
Kind of hard to not want to come back there. If you grow up in a place like that,
it's so special.
Nothing measures up, right?
I know. I knew I needed to leave after high school, but I kind of knew that I would always eventually come back. So I had been away for about 13 years and was starting to think about coming back. So I started to look into local stories that I had just finished a film when I was working in DC and wanted to commit to a local story in Tahoe. And I was following Coco, Chris Kokoris, who's one of the main, fighters that I follow in Momentum. I started following him on social media, and I know that when I pick a film, it's going to take me years to make. I didn't know it would take me 5 years to make.
Right.
But I know it's a commitment, so I sleep on it for a long time and make sure it's a story worth telling, a story I want to commit myself to, something I feel strong and passionate about. And that was one where I kept seeing him pop up on social media doing these incredible, selfies, life updates some of them were included in the film.
And this is a man who was coming back from a major injuries in a car accident and wants to be an MMA fighter.
Yes.
And so you're seeing him post messages to social media with updates saying, here, I'm getting closer. I'm looking. Exactly. He was being positive energy and just sort of being a personality to try to drive people toward the light, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for that background. I know that would have been confusing for people who haven't
Well, I should have introduced it. I mentioned that it's about two men, but that's not enough description.
Yeah. Everyone should go watch it on PBS where it's streaming. But basically he got into a fatal car accident, very tragic. He lost his girlfriend, his dog. He pretty much was told he was never going to walk again. And so he woke up in the hospital and started making these videos of, I'm not only going to walk again, but I'm going to fight again. Just so incredible, to see someone go through that. And so I was really motivated by watching his social media posts. And I slept on it for probably months. And then when I got back, it was like, if he posted something that showed his comeback fight and I didn't capture it, because I knew that was the arc of the story, right?
Right.
And those are the types of films I like to make, where you're kind of following the journey and the audience can go along with you, which is why it takes so long to make them. And so I just reached out to Chris and said, can we meet up for coffee? And slowly started following him in his journey, and we built a relationship and trust. And the more I got into his story and the more he shared with me, it was just, obvious that I wanted to commit myself to helping him tell his story. And then I met his incredible coach along the way, Ryan Wallace, who I actually have known for years. We went to high school together.
Okay. I was wondering if you had known any of the people in the film before, because it's not that large a town, South Lake Tahoe. Yeah,
definitely. Less than 6 degrees of separation in Tahoe always. Ryan, it was 1 degree. Chris, it was a couple degrees. He's a bit younger than me. But Ryan just brought a lot of, I didn't want to make a film specifically about MMA and fighting. Anytime that was happening, I was actually behind the camera kind of closing my eyes, like, don't hurt each other, please.
Right.
So Ryan really brought kind of that personal connection where it's the coach and their relationship and him kind of being a mentor to Chris because of what Ryan had gone through.
Yeah, Ryan's nickname
prior.
Was the Champutee.
Champutee, yes.
For a reason, right?
For a reason, absolutely.
He lost a limb.
He lost his leg a couple years after high school. I think he was 19 or 20 years old due to cancer. And he thinks, in the film it comes out that it was wrestling that he feels like saved his life because he kept having this pain. And they finally discovered the tumor and were able to, amputate his leg. And so he has had this incredible journey since then and has gone on to be this incredible coach and motivator for so many kids. And so he was coaching Chris before the accident happened. And so Ryan was the first person Chris called when he was in the hospital. And, Ryan was by Chris's side the whole time until his comeback fight, and still, of course, as his coach and mentor. So I really loved that story, and I wanted to hone in on that story rather than just the fighting aspect of it, which was still incredible.
There is a lot of that kind of action driven by the reality of the story. These are two people who like to fight as a sport, and so it's got the built-in sort of direction, right? You see each of them fight at some point in the documentary. Chris is working toward his comeback, and then Ryan is still interested, wants to compete. He's not trying to win the world belt or anything, but he does want to continue to compete, and he brings that up, and then we get to see him do that, and he talks about the value of that, regardless of the result, the value of competing and putting yourself out there and representing what you are telling all of your kids, right? He's a coach to a bunch of kids. We see him coaching, and he's really a lot of fun. He's a charming guy.
Yes.
And at one point you see him cleaning a bathroom. He's the nighttime janitor at the school, and he's the coach. He's one of these people who you see him and think, all right, you cannot help but like that
you can't
person.
Not like him. And he brought a lot of comedic value to the film
right.
as well.
He has a lot of fun, and I think I'm guessing, he's further distant from his tragedy, if you want to call it that. And so he's got a different perspective and a little more distance. So he's got his personality incorporates humor more readily, and he's a coach, so he's also got to touch the lives of other people, and so he certainly works better if you're having some fun with them. And Chris is a great example of someone who's still much more. It's been much more recent, his situation, so he's still dealing with it. And you learn through the documentary that he didn't have the greatest life growing up. He had some trouble. His parents had some issues. His mother died.
Yep.
And there's a moment where he speaks to her while he's standing over the water, looking over the water at the edge of a dock or a pier somewhere, and he just talks to her. And that's a touching moment where she still motivates him after she's gone. And I watched it as a viewer thinking that's really powerful. And then I thought of it as a person who produces content and said, how did you arrange for that to happen? Did that just naturally happen when you happened to be there with a camera? Because that's incredibly lucky.
Yes. Yes, it did. We had an interview at the end of that pier, and Chris chose that location for the interview. This was the day before he was going in for his last back surgery. We did not know the significance of that location until after the interview. And he kind of expressed to us, this is the spot that I come out and I talk to my mom before any big fight. And he was viewing the surgery the next day as a big fight, which he kind of talks about in the film as well. And, by that point, I think we had been filming with Chris for 2 years or something like that. And I think it's really just the trust that, the bond and the trust that you build over that amount of time, where it's like he felt comfortable sharing that moment with us. Of course, we talked about it before we just turned the cameras on to him, and we also tried to respect his space. If you notice, it's like just one camera angle, very static, like we were at a distance. There was no directing on my part of like where he should stand or what he should say or anything like that. And, he was very vulnerable and allowed us to capture that moment. And then, of course, everything in the edit was shared with him, before it went public. And there was nothing that we cut out from that moment, but, he felt very comfortable including it, and it was very authentic and special to the story.
Well, that's important. And I think anyone who makes documentary films and works with people closely, especially over that long a period of time, it's a bit of a partnership.
Absolutely.
And you feel like you need to share before anyone else sees this. Does this fairly represent you? That's always been the way I think about it. When we've done a number of documentaries at PBS Reno over the years, and it matters to me that the person or people who are seen and heard in this final piece feel like that's accurate, that's correct.
100%.
There's nothing here that is misleading in any way, and certainly we would never intend to, but it's possible that you can accidentally mislead people. So it's really valuable to have that buy-in and that feeling from them. And honestly, it's in some ways it's the most important reaction that we care about. It's like if you're happy, then I'm happy.
I'm making the film for you, like you and Ryan. If you guys are happy with this and this is authentic and true to your story. Of course, we don't give them creative control over like, oh, well, my right side's really my good side, that sort of thing, which I didn't have to deal with any of that with Chris and Ryan. Maybe jokingly from Ryan a little bit.
He has some fun. Well, and I like that during the ending credits, we see a little more of Ryan just having fun.
There was a lot of that,
making a lot of comments on the side. And I always enjoy that because you really get a sense of the person and the personality and that how real they are.
Yeah,
and it's really fun, and it's a powerful story, and no spoilers, but stick to the end. You want to see it all the way through, because it's really a wonderful journey that we go on with these people. And boy, if you started it 5 years early or earlier, you had no idea where it was going to go. So that's
the beauty of nonfiction, right?
How do you decide, okay, I'm investing whatever amount of time and effort it takes to tell this story, or do you think like that?
Yeah, that's definitely how I think from the beginning, which is why I, take a lot of consideration early on to make sure it's something I want to commit to. But once I'm committed, I won't let those stories sit on a hard drive. I won't be able to sleep at night if I don't finish telling their story. So, and there was COVID in between, and, it was really Chris's journey. So when his comeback happened, I was going to be there for it. So I was committed to that. And your comment about the end, no spoilers, but I just will say I'm really glad that I hired a cinematographer for that, a second cinematographer, because my footage was all me shaking because I was so invested in him in this fight, and I was so nervous for him. I absolutely did not use my B-cam footage at all. It was all the cinematographer I had brought in, which was the best money I spent on that film.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well, really well done. So if you haven't seen Momentum, please check it out on the PBS app. It's a free app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, what are you doing? Get on it. And I was going to ask you about the production. What you mentioned, hiring a cinematographer. I'm used to tiny budgets and very few people.
Yeah.
So a lot of people doing a lot of work, or few people doing a lot of work. Yeah. Was it like that for you, or was it pretty much just you and you had there was a partner, right? You had a co-director.
Yeah, an amazing co-director, very, very talented cinematographer, also Lane Power. The fight was in Colorado, so he wasn't able to travel there with me. So we ended up hiring someone to shoot that last scene with Chris. But yeah, Lane shot 80-90% of the rest of the film, and so we were co-director. I was kind of co-directing, producing, and he was directing and shooting. And it was an amazing partnership. It was really, making a film like this, especially when it goes on so long, can be really lonely at times and very isolating. So I knew when I was going to commit to telling the story, I wanted to bring on a creative partner. So I kind of pitched it to Lane, and he said yes. And then a year in, he's like, what was I getting myself into? And then 2 years in, he's like, what did I get myself into? But he's also very proud of it. And it was a wonderful partnership. And I was so grateful to have his creative input on it.
it's great to have that with such a long-term project.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I'm imagining there were chunks of time where nothing happened in those 5 years, right?
Yeah, we were always kind of, aware and in touch. The months wouldn't go by without hearing from Chris or Ryan. It would be, maybe weeks or so. We kind of always knew what was happening in their lives and would kind of pop in and be like, can we bring a camera to that? Or, what's going on this week? That sort of thing.
Right.
So,
and you're juggling that. You're trying to document their lives while living your own.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and things happen in life. You get married, you have kids, things can get in the way, and suddenly there are greater obstacles to going out and shooting that, shadow boxing in the snow scene than you might have had a little while earlier. Your life took its own turns while theirs were you're documenting theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people joke in the film world about production babies because it takes so long to make films. I had two now. I have twins. They were actually just born about 2.5 months ago. So we've been, in distribution phase with Momentum, which is great because I can't imagine trying to, run out of the house with a camera and try and, do the production side of Momentum the way I was doing back then. So I'm really glad that I had wrapped that up before the babies came along.
You can't make a documentary when you're a mother of 2 newborns, but you can start a film festival, apparently.
Apparently.
How are you starting a film festival while you have 2 newborns?
I don't know. It's happening just day by day.
Wow. So the Lake Tahoe Documentary Film Festival. Is that the proper title?
That's it.
And this and so tell me about this. This is a brand new endeavor.
Yeah, a brand new endeavor. I'm super excited about it. After I finished Momentum, 5 years, long process. I mean, Lane was there along the way, but it was still lonely, being in the editing room and it was something where after the fact, when I reflected on it, I'm like, I want to do something more community focused. I want more people around. I want to be engaged in my local Tahoe community where I grew up, and I want to contribute in a way that I feel like I can now. So the film festival, I had always thought it was something I would want to do. Ever since I went to my first film festival with my first film about 10 years ago, I was like, why does Tahoe not have something like this? I thought it would always be a little bit later in my career, when I was like done making films in my 60s or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll start this film festival in my town, but it happened much sooner than that. So I'm super excited about it. It's something where I have a lot of help from advisors of other film festivals because I've always been a participant with my films, but I've never seen the back end of it. So I've built this really strong advisory committee, and they've all been so gracious with their time and commitment and telling me what to do and what not to do and saving me from all those mistakes. I mean, I'm sure it's still going to be a learning process, but
first timer, right? Something will happen that you're not ready for, but
absolutely.
Still, it's a daunting undertaking, and to have good people behind you certainly probably feels good.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you start from scratch a film festival?
Well, I started with finding the venue or venues. This year it's going to be at the Tahoe Blue Event Center, which I'm super excited about. It's the new event center.
That's nice.
Yeah. Very, very lucky to have that partnership, and they've been great to work with, and it's going to be a perfect venue. We're going to have 3 screening rooms. So it's October 4th through the 6th this year, 2024. We'll have a kickoff night on the 4th and then 2 full days of screenings on the 5th and 6th. We're still building out the program. By the time you hear this, the program will be solidified. But it looks like it's going to be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday with 3 screening rooms. We're going to have panel events. We're going to have workshops. We're going to have, what makes a film festival. Festivals, parties. So we're going to have some parties. Hopefully filmmakers will be in attendance. So we'll have post-screening Q&As. Hopefully some nature hikes, get people outside enjoying the Tahoe landscape in the fall. So
maybe an MMA ring in the corner for fun.
Maybe
just a little tribute to Momentum.
Some wrestling. Yeah. I'm sure Ryan would be excited
Could do
about
a demo.
That. A demo.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
So it does seem like a natural to have a film festival there.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about Aspen and Telluride, and these are places that have
Park
film
City,
festivals. Park City, places, mountain recreation cities that have film festivals.
Absolutely.
Sundance, right? Is that Park City? That's in Park City. So sure, why not? I mean, it seems like a natural. I have a feing it will be very well attended and very successful, and probably grow really fast and give you nightmares.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that, there'll be community support around it. And I'm starting small this year with it, a 3-day festival. My goal and hope is that it becomes like a 2-weekend, like a 10-day festival where we have opening weekend, closing weekend, and in between we can bring filmmakers into the schools and that sort of thing. But we'll start small and see.
Right. And this is documentaries. This is all documentaries.
Yep, all nonfiction films.
So how did people submit to you?
So we posted on Film Freeway, which is a website that filmmakers can submit their films if they're in the festival circuit. So we got a handful of films that way, and then I curated by reaching out to filmmakers in my network. And we ended up getting about 300 films submitted from 32 different countries, which is so exciting to have kind of that cultural representation
very
in the
exciting.
festival. Yeah. So, and then we've had a screening committee, a volunteer screening committee of about 10 people. And we've narrowed it down to about 57 films at this point.
Okay. How do you decide what makes or breaks a film for inclusion?
Well, that's why I wanted so many eyes on the films. I didn't want it just to be me because I have a particular type of film that I like.
It becomes Michelle's Documentary Film Festival.
Let's just show all of my films. Well, one of them will be there, but it did go through their screening committee. I wanted a lot of different eyes on the film, and I did create a rubric. So based on other film festivals and kind of that, my network that I created where, I was getting feedback from other festival directors, they shared with me kind of the rubrics that they used, and I tailored that to our community to kind of, systematize how we choose the right films for our community.
So is it like a point system based on, production
value,
and...
story, how it would resonate with the local community. Definitely a point system. And then, there's a spot for comments, and then there's also a discussion that happens too. And there's various rounds as well.
Okay.
So we've been watching films for about a year now, actually.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
And I've watched all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So,
but I was pregnant at the time, so it was a good thing to do. I was pregnant.
Good way to pass the time.
Yeah.
Are there any included films that you're able to talk about at this point?
So there's a handful. I have some notes here, but I'm going to try and go off the top of my head because there were a few that really stuck with me. So the first one is a film called Sugarcane that premiered at Sundance and has since been acquired by National Geographic. And I think it's going to start streaming in about a year, but it'll still be in the festival circuit by October, which I'm super excited about. And it's just this beautiful film about, they describe it as an epic cinematic portrait about a community dealing with newfound evidence of unmarked graves in Indian residential schools in Canada. And so it's like years past of when this residential school was open, and then they've found these unmarked graves. And so it's kind of this community reckoning with what that means and what it means for the community and generationally what that means. And it's a director debut, and he won the director award at Sundance. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful and very creative way of telling such an intimate story. So that's called Sugarcane. I'm super excited about that film.
Okay.
And then we have a film called Sentenced, which I'm really excited about. We're going to partner with the Marcella Foundation, which is an organization in Tahoe that works a lot with literacy. And the film, this will be kind of our impact project, which I'm really excited about because I feel like film, especially documentaries, have this real potential to create impact, right? You watch these stories, you create like a personal connection with the story and with the, participants in the story. And then it's like, what happens after that? And so this film, Sentenced, it was executive produced and narrated by Steph Curry. And it's about adult literacy and kind of also a generational tendency of literacy and how it affects you, as you become an adult and young adult. And it's told through, I think there's like maybe 15 different characters, different vignettes of characters. And the Marcella Foundation will kind of use this film as a way to have a broader conversation about literacy in our community. So that's called Sentenced. I'm really excited about that film too.
These sound great. So I'm excited for them. I hopefully I can sneak up there and see some of these. I would love to. So that's just two examples of what people can expect. And tell me again, how many films will be screening over the 2 days?
There's going to be, right now, there's 57 films that are scheduled. Yeah. And so we have, those are 2 of the features, and then we have lots of short films. We have, of course, the adventure, outdoor. We've got like a North Face film,
like
Patagonia
the ski
film.
films, like those classic slow-mo powder flying guy coming off a cliff. Ski films that I used to see. Warren Miller, right? Was the guy who started them?
Nothing quite like that. I mean, a lot of them have stories behind them, so they've got to kind of have like
so they're more they're documentaries.
Absolutely.
I'm flashing back to the ones that were just show off how beautiful they can look falling off a cliff. And stuff that I would never try. It's fun to watch from a distance, and I stay away from it. But so,
and then there's animated shorts also, right? Documentary and nonfiction can be animated, so there's a few animated shorts that I'm excited about.
I hadn't considered that, but that's intriguing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's quite a variety. And then, of course, we'll have family-friendly content as well. There's a few films that were made by children, which are for children. So we'll have kind of a family block.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So lots of variety.
So when you're starting something like this, and you've got to have human-powered help for a lot of things that go on, especially during the days of the event. Do you have staff for that? Do you use volunteer help? Is that a situation where you need people?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are looking for volunteers, and I'm sure by the end of August we'll still be looking for volunteers. We have a handful who are already eager and excited to help out. But yeah, we'll need people there in person.
How do people get involved?
They can get involved by going to our website, ltdff.com. There's a newsletter there that you can, sign up to be a part of and check the box for, yes, I'd like to volunteer, and we will reach out immediately.
Nice.
And then we're on all the socials also. It was Lake Tahoe Documentary Film Festival, or LTDFF.
Okay, beautiful. And if anybody wants to keep in touch through the socials, where can we find you?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok, which apparently TikTok you need to be on because it's video. But I'm learning. That's a new platform for me.
There is always a new one.
There's always a new one.
As soon as you master TikTok, it will be obsolete.
There'll be something else. But yeah, just Lake Tahoe Documentary Film Festival, or LTDFF, are the handles for all of those.
Okay. And once again, everybody who's listening here, check out Momentum, which I suspect is the film that is going to be in the film festival, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a block actually that's made of films that are made by locals about locals. So there's going to be 2 other films in that block with Momentum as
Beautiful.
well.
Okay, looking forward to that. That's the Lake Tahoe Documentary Film Festival. The dates again?
October 4th through the 6th.
Okay, check it out. Now, from the PBS Reno perspective, I want to remind everybody to watch Artifacts on PBS Reno. That's via broadcast or live stream or on pbsreno.org or through the YouTube channel. And then read art views at pbsreno.org. The tremendous columns written by a number of art experts, people who are in the arts in this community, and are wonderful. Their perspectives are really worth reading, and I learn a lot. I want to ask also, if you have a question or maybe a comment or suggestion, send them to me at podcasts@pbsreno.org. And we'd appreciate anything that you would have to say. I want to say thank you again to Michelle Aguilar-Ficara, and thank you for listening to PBS Reno Arts.